Okay, beauties, you know the drill because I do this almost every season or every, holiday type of event. And this is specifically for St. Patrick's. So we have 12 shades. All of these have a green shift. And I try to use different kinds of brands and find some great special shades for you. Again, these are not the only special shades with a shift of green. I'm sure there are more, and I would highly encourage you that if you have some that I do not swatch here in this video, share the names with everybody in the comments below so that in case we have those, we don't forget to whip those out and use them for St. Patrick's Day. Let's get started. I'm gonna go row by row, swatching every shade and telling you all the name of the shade and the brand it's from. Also, I'm gonna swatch these on my hand and put on the side of the screen this swatch from a different angle. Our first shade is from Glam Shop called Shiny Basil. This is very flaky, which is exactly why I put some BH Cosmetics Base Booster on my hand. It's one of those super flaky and beautiful glittery looking shades. It's not entirely opaque, but I have a feeling you can build this up to become opaque. So it has a green shift with a very medium toned undertone. So this is not black based, it's also not really gray based, but it does have kind of a creamy perhaps base. And then you see the green shift in the shade, and then over it, it has a glaze that goes green to gold. And from some angles, I also do catch a little bit of teal. Our next shade is one of my favorites. This is Electric from Glaminatrix. This one has a minty green undertone with a very beautiful gold to bronze to magenta shift that you're gonna see in a minute. It's absolutely gorgeous and super unique. I do believe there is a Cleona shade that is a dupe for this. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. It might be Duke, which was one of their newer releases. If you're interested in me finding dupes for these and making a video about that, make that request in the comments. And although I'm doing my best to clean all of these, I get all kinds of glitters on my hands, so please ignore that. Our next shade is Reptile from Copacetic. This also looks like it's just comprised of pressed tiny shimmery particles, and it's darker than the other colors that we saw, and it does look like it has a purple shift from some angles, but let's swatch it and see what we get. I put some base booster on my hand again to make sure this doesn't go all over the place, and you can see how beautiful this one is. So in some ways it reminds me of Shiny Basil that I just swatched, except for the fact that it does have a burgundy-ish undertone and it's darker in color. But let me quickly show you Shiny Basil on the side. So as you can see, the glittery particles in Shiny Basil are much lighter colored than in this one. And then, as I mentioned, burgundy undertone, and the glaze on top matches what we saw with Shiny Basil. So it goes gold to green to teal. But of course, that burgundy-ish undertone gives it a completely different flair. And beauties, this color from a different angle does have a shift of purple. Continuing to our next Shifty shade, I have used a lot of different colors from this collection, the birthday collection from Touch of Glam, in different videos that I've done. By the way, beauties, if you're interested in different similar videos, I have the whole playlist in the description box below, and that playlist is going to be recommended to you at the end of the video. And a lot of the ones that I picked before also had a shift of green, but I tried to pick one this time that I've not used before and I've not swatched before. And this one is Setting a Trend. So this one is a beautiful one with a green shift and then a neutral shift, which is so beautiful and different. You should be able to see the green shift and also almost a black base undertone, which is the case with all of the shades in this collection. And the green shift goes to gold, and then from some angles it has what looks like a purple to a neutrally brown shift. And that is just so beautiful and so different from a lot of the different things you might see from different brands. You all know how much I love multichromes with a neutral shift, so that's why I love this shade. You also catch a little bit of teal from some angles. The next shade I want to show you all is an iridescent multichrome from Glaminatrix called Luxe. This is from the series 2, and this one has a gold shift and a teal shift and a green shift. This is honestly one of my favorites. I think this is a lot of people's favorites. I think they also have this in nail lacquers if you care, because I love those nail lacquers, you all know. You should be able to see sort of a creamy shift because of the creamy undertone, and then the very beautiful and romantic-y gold kind of creamy shift going into a teal green shift. And also from some angles I am catching a little bit of a bronze and also teal. I don't know if I mentioned teal. This is so pretty. Beauties, if you're enjoying these kinds of videos, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. Obviously, if you hit the bell also, that would help these videos be recommended to other people who might also find them useful and interesting. Next one is Terra Moon's Space Case. A lot of these shades have dupes between brands, and for the sake of this video and similar videos, I always try to pick shades that are not dupes of each other. So this color might have a dupe in Cliona, for example, and obviously if you don't have this one, you can always use the dupe. So this one has a reddish brownish undertone with a gold to green to teal glaze over it. Beautiful, beautiful shade. Very appropriate for a St. Patrick-y type of look. You can even wear this by itself for a single shadow look. A lot of multichromes can be worn by themselves because they look like you're already wearing multiple colors on your eyes. Okay, beauties, we're halfway there. Our next shade is this beautiful one called Jaded from Luxie Beauty. And this one is also one of those duochrome shades that are super, super beautiful and shifty. I love wearing a shade like this, like a light lime green shade that might have a hint or a shift of gold, which this one definitely has, with a dark matte burgundy in the outer V. I have done that kind of a look in one of my to buy or not to buys with one of Nomad's palettes, the Royal Europe palette. I will tag that video in the description box below to give you all some ideas of what kind of looks you can make with this and what kind of colors you can match it up with. Our next shade is one of Cliona's relatively recent releases. This is from the Dimensional Multichromes called Ferric. This one is so pretty, like all the Dimensional Multichromes. It has a green shift and kind of a neutrally shift. And I think I've mentioned before that these Dimensional Multichromes look like they have tiny silver glitter particles inside, which makes them pretty unique from, frankly, any other shade that I've seen or any other multichrome that I've seen. And it gives them even more dimensionality, hence the name. Other than that, it definitely reminds me of this one from Touch of Glam, Setting a Trend, that I showed a little bit earlier. So it does have, I can't really claim that it has a black base, but it definitely has that green shift, although a little bit more olivey green, and then the shimmery brownish to a purple kind of a shift. It's so pretty. I definitely catch some regular sort of grass green from some angles as well. And I definitely see a little bit of bronze between the gold shift and the copper shift. Very beautiful. Okay, I definitely have tiny glitter particles going everywhere. Please ignore that. Our next shade is from a brand I haven't talked about in a while. This is JD Glow, and this color is called Prismatic. And this is one of those unique shades that I don't see very often. So it has a very beautiful, almost a lime green shift going into a light teal. This is so gorgeous. And I'm already imagining combining this kind of a shade with something that's very different from it, like a burgundy or a magenta or something like that, to get a very different, bold effect. But you can even wear it with a neutral brown and make it pop. So, so, so beautiful. Now this shade is not super opaque, but you can build it up, and I'm absolutely loving that tealish glaze on top. And in fact, from some angles, that tealish glaze even goes into sort of a blue and even a hint of purple. Hopefully the camera's capturing all of those, or I can capture them in the view from a different angle under a different lighting. As I mentioned, I'm trying to show you all a variety of greens in this video, and our next shade is one of those super special ones. As you can see from the star that's embossed on it, this is a Shine by SD single from their Eternal collection called Afterglow. I bought this during their Black Friday sale, and this is mostly a gold with a very interesting and different green shift. I absolutely love Shine by SD. I have multiple videos in this channel where I've swatched them. I try to use a lot of their singles that I have in different videos and different selection videos like this one, because they're multichrome singles and perhaps even their duochrome singles have very unique types of shifts, the kind I don't see very often in other brands. So for this one, again, we have a kind of a creamy undertone. It's not black based, it's kind of cream based. The shift on top of it goes kind of tealy green to almost a bronze to a gold. And then the shifts kind of embolden depending on what angle I'm looking at them. But overall, they're kind of diffused and they blend into each other pretty seamlessly. And that is just so beautiful. It almost looks like it has tiny either silver or purple particles inside as well. And under different lighting, I could even see kind of a light purple, light bluish shifts as well. Okay, beauties, we have a couple more to go. Our next one is Echidna. This is from Sea of Shadows from Divina. And beauties, you all have mentioned that Sea of Shadows is so special, and you all are so correct. This is another one that is maybe a dupe for Electric from Glaminatrix that I swatched earlier in this video. So this one also has sort of a minty green undertone that shifts from gold to bronze to beautiful magenta. And in fact, that minty green undertone is almost diffused. I almost don't even see it anymore. So it's not exactly a dupe for Electric, because I think Electric, which is this one. Had a much more obvious minty green. Also, this one, the minty green is more kind of tealy, and this one is more lime green. So that is also different. But as I said, with Echidna, I almost don't even see the green anymore after it's swatched, whereas with Electric, we could still see the green. And then in the swatch that I did in different lighting, you should already be able to see that it also has a beautiful teal shift. And last but not least, beauties, for this last one, I wanted to go with one of my all-time favorites from Luxie Beauty. This is Electric Venom. I checked, this shade is still available. It might not be available this minute, but it is still listed on their website. This is one of my favorite shimmers from Luxie, and I purchased this quite a few years ago, before they had all of these exciting multichromy shades that they have now, but it's still one of my favorites and staples. And as you can see, it's a duochrome that shifts greenish, sort of I mean, it does have a hint of teal, but mostly green to gold. And the gold shift is very romantic and mild and smooth and diffused. It's a little bit different from a lot of the shifts that we saw in this video, which are super bold, super in your face. This one is kind of romantic, and I'm loving it. Beauties, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing if you're not subscribed yet. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and until next time, bye.